We are live now. Mhm. Good evening. You're welcome to this masterclass. And this is hello, doctor. Hello, Tony. It's good to see you here. Very, very good to see you here. My apologies. I came on um late, about 30 minutes late. I had a bit of electrical issues, but hey, we're here and we're getting this done. So you're welcome to this live masterclass. It's been a long time coming. So today I'm going to be teaching three stories that helps you to improve your brand and increase your income. So basically, if you're a creator or you're a coach or you're just generally into business, professional, whatever it is, this masterclass is for you. So it's not just for any specific kind of people, it's for everybody that's positioned on social media. So, once again, my name is Dr. Ish. You're welcome to this masterclass. Um, Prior to now, I've been running pre-recorded live streams, and it's become very important that I show up today live. Yay! So, just stay with me. There's quite a lot I want to share, and I'll try to make it as brief as possible and as impactful, power-packed as possible. So, I'll be talking about, like you already know, I'm basically into personal branding, storytelling, and social media positioning. Today, I'll be speaking about the three stories you can use to position your brand as well as earn income. Most of the time, when creatives, I'll use creatives because these days I find that I'm speaking more to creatives than even professionals. So a lot of creatives, when they're positioned on social media, it doesn't even just have to be YouTube. It could be TikTok, it could be Instagram, it could be any platform at all. They have a problem sharing their story on social media. Now, when I say sharing your story on social media, most people are like, Dr. Ish, are you referring to Tales by Moonlight kind of thing? No, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about stories that people tell just for the fun of it. I'm talking about relevant stories to your service or to your business or to what you sell. Everybody has something they're selling on social media, no matter the platform. You always have something you are selling. However, the question is what you are selling, is it relevant to your target audience? That is a very, very critical question you need to ask yourself. Whether you're a professional selling your services in terms of a job you want to get, or you're a creative, or you're a coach, or you're an author, or you're a ghostwriter, or you're a gamer, whatever line you're into, you have your what they call your ideal target audience. That is the specific people you are trained or the specific people you want to solve their pain point. Now, everybody on social media has a pain point or a problem they're positioned on social media for. Some people come on social media because they just want to have fun. They want to let their hair down. They want to be able to take their mind away from the everyday travails of life. While some come on social media because they're looking for who is going to solve one or two issues for them. Now, what are these issues? For instance, myself personally, I'm positioned on social media as a storyteller, as an executive coach, a personal brand and business strategist. Now, yes, there's just so many things rolled into one, but what I do is I'm going to help you to learn how to tell strategic stories to your business. Now, most times when people come on social media, they don't even know why they're there. I hear creatives say, I'm not sure what my talents are, I'm not sure what my skills are, and I'm not sure what my niche is. Now, the very first thing before you can even tell a story is identifying what your niche is. Once you can identify what your niche is, then you can identify the problem that you want to solve. So, for instance, let's say you are into AI or technology. Why are you in AI? Why are you in technology? Why are you a graphic designer? Why are you a virtual assistant? Why are you an executive assistant? There's always a why. Once you can identify the why, the what, and the how, then you started your journey in discovering the particular kind of people you can solve. Now, I always advise my mentees or my students or the people I speak with, when you're going into a particular area, hey, visionary, you're welcome. Thank you very much. So once you've decided, for instance, I've seen creatives that position themselves on social media, so they don't really understand why they are doing what they're doing. For instance, if you say that you are in the education niche, or if you say you are in the storytelling niche, or if you say you are a YouTube growth strategist, or if you say you are into the AI niche, or you are into African folklore, the question is, why are you there? Who are your target audience? Who are the people that you want to be speaking to? Are you positioned as a storyteller because you hear that um, the RMP being paid to that particular niche is high? Is that your area of strength? So most times, when you want to learn how to tell the three strategic stories that can help you to position your brand, so that you don't find yourself getting drowned in your niche. Exactly. Everybody's on YouTube, but not everybody knows exactly what they're really doing on YouTube. Because the main focus most people have, and not just on YouTube, but on any platform that is attached to monetization, they first of all position themselves there, not understanding why they are there. Then the next thing they do is to look at what other people are doing. And when I say look at what other people are doing, is to say, oh, which of this niche is paying people the highest? Now, that's the very, very wrong mindset you should have. One thing I always tell people is that everybody's a storyteller. The only thing is just that we tell our stories in different ways. So when I hear people say, oh, you can't apply storytelling to AI, well, good enough. Thank God these days, especially on YouTube, we have so many AI creators that are telling stories using AI. We also have a lot of Bible, all this quotation, stoic, or everybody, both those in the religion and non-religion, everybody is applying the strategy of storytelling, some consciously and some unconsciously. Now, there are three aspects to this storytelling that I want to really talk about. And trust me, this is really, really very important for every creator, because it's not just enough to say, I am here to earn money. Why? What kind of impact, what kind of value do you want to use your own brand to give? Because for me, it's more or less about building a profitable brand. You're not just building a brand because you want to tell your friends and your family that you are now on YouTube, or you want to tell your friends and your family that I'm now on TikTok. Because these rules apply across board, no matter the platform you find yourself. So now there's what they call the origin story, and there's what they call the problem story, and there's what they call the proof story. These are the three very important aspects of storytelling that every creator or coach or professional or whoever else that is trying to monetize themselves. Because the reason why I'm focusing on only those monetizing is because many people are positioned on different platforms. Yes, I went all in. I went all in because, um, okay, let me deviate a bit. We have this policy coming up, something about overnight streaming and all that. And to be very honest, I started YouTube, first of all, going live. But along the line, apart from having electrical issues, network issues, I just got discouraged. And maybe because I lost a bit of focus because I was trying to do what other people were doing. And then I got lost in all this restreaming, OBS, overnight, rain falling. So I kind of just dumped. But really, this is Dr. Ish, and this is how I run my classes. I've trained over 40,000 people in the last 10, 12 years, and my classes are always live. But I think along the line with the technology going really fast, growing really fast, and us having pre-recorded classes. But I usually like feeling the pulse of the people I'm speaking with, and I like having, that banter. So today I said I want to go back and see how it turns out. Because, as a creator, we get lost on the dopamine we get when we come live and we have 300 views, 500 views, and it's pretty discouraging when you come on platform and all you see is just 5 people, and the 5 people are your family members or your very close friends. So yes, so that's one of the reasons why I just laid low for a while. But this time around, I'm changing my strategy, and God willing, I'm going to be going live, if possible, at least a minimum of 3 times a week, same time every week, 4 times every week. So yeah, that is just a backstory as to why I decided to come back live. However, because I'm also running multiple channels, I may not be able to do this for all the channels. So my personal vlog, I go live in the morning, and then this brand story, I go live in the evening. The finance one is going to be the one suffering the stream, because that one is very, very technical, and any question can just make me lose focus. So back to the class. So the three kinds of stories that creators and coaches actually are supposed to have at their fingertips to be able to improve their brand and their income. Because for me, I'm positioned with this particular channel for personal branding and income. That's what the channel is all about, teaching people how to tell the right stories for their business. And when we're talking about stories, we're talking about professional stories, not a story of, oh, they gave me a dirty slap last week and then I somersaulted and rolled the floor, or or intimate stories. Because I hear people say, Dr. Ish, at what point do I realize that I shouldn't be sharing some certain things? When do we draw the line? How do we tell that these kind of stories are not necessary? These kind of stories are not things that people should hear. Because the truth of the matter is that everybody's shouting, be authentic, be vulnerable, be authentic, be vulnerable. But you can be authentic and vulnerable and ruin your brand. There's some personal stories that actually people shouldn't be hearing unless they are very, very close to you. And when I mean close to you, I'm talking about family and friends. But once business is involved, once income is involved, once exchange of services and finance is involved, then you have to have a boundary on the kind of stories that you tell. And that's why for every brand, yes, exactly, professional stories are the best to tell when it involves a transaction, an official transaction, as long as it's not personal. So what I mean by official transaction is, as long as you are trading, I'm doing a service or selling you a product, and you're going to pay me in turn, then you should not be tempted to tell personal stories. You have to keep it professional. So those are part of the boundaries. But I don't want to delve too much into that, because unless I have people ask questions along that line. But one thing I need you to understand, if you don't understand anything about the origin story, is that your stories need to be professional, they need to be relevant, and they need to speak to the pain point of your target audience. But before I get to that pain point, I'll just have to go back a bit. Like I said, today being the three stories for every creator or coach to be able to tell to improve their brand, which at the end of the day gets their clients or customers to be paying them money for services. Because the truth of the matter is that whatever it is you are doing, you're not the only one doing it on YouTube. I'll give an example. So let's say you are into AI on YouTube. You are into storytelling, African folklore, or you are into kiddies storytelling, bedtime stories, or you are into horror stories. You have a movie channel, you have a movie channel, you have a news channel. Now there are so many African folklore channels. There are so many kiddies channels. There are so many movie channels. There are so many news casting channels. But the question you ask yourself is, why do some people stand out from others? Any answer to that? Why do some people stand out from others? Why would you get to an African folklore channel and you find yourself hooked? Why would you get to a movie channel, you find yourself hooked? Why do you get to a YouTube growth channel and you get yourself hooked? Let's close our eyes to the numbers of subscribers they have. Let's close our eyes to the numbers of likes that they have. Most times, when you come across a channel on YouTube and you find yourself stuck to it, there are several things that glue you to it. And one of them is the value they give you. And that value on its own gives you a certain kind of background story. Even if they don't need to start telling you, I'm the first child in my family, or I'm the only son, or I'm the only daughter. No, all those information is highly irrelevant. However, with the way they give impact, the way they give value, the way they speak to the problem, tells you that these people know their onions. They understand what they are saying. And why do they understand what they are saying? Because they have a very good idea on the problem they are trying to solve, which also still brings us back to the origin story. Now, the origin stories is, in simple terms, all about your purpose. What is your purpose? What is your why? Why are you positioned here? Why do you do what you do? What are the reasons that made you start doing what you do? So, for instance, say you are in the um for okay, I use myself for an example. Why did I go into storytelling? Why did I start storytelling? Why do I enjoy storytelling? And what is the purpose behind what I do? And the simple answer it is because nobody can answer that question. Only you can answer that question for yourself. Every brand that you can think of that comes to your mind. I'm talking about the Oprah Winfrey, the Steve Jobs, the Mark Zuckerberg, and even Donald Trump. Yes, Obama, his wife Michelle. I'm talking about celebrities that stand out in your mind, both dead and alive. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, music industries, Beyonce, all of them, all these people stand out because they have what they call a differentiating factor. Now, a differentiating factor simply means they have something that makes them different from other people. Basically, they do the same. For instance, Beyonce sings. She's not the only singer in the entire world, but something about her keeps making her stand out from other people. Hey sis, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. So Beyonce sings. Why do we like Beyonce? Not because she's the most beautiful woman in the world. No, but because she's a very good performing artist. She dances a lot, not just singing. She's a multi-talented celebrity. So we have celebrities that sing, they don't know how to dance. They probably just stand straight and do what they need to do. So whenever you come across channels, now I'm speaking to YouTubers here. You're welcome. Whenever you come across channels on YouTube and you find yourself stuck to them, there are certain things. Now, like I said, overlook the number of subscribers, because the reason why I said so is that you may come across a channel that has 20,000 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers, and still not be led to subscribe to that channel. Why? Because whoever is speaking or whatever it is they are doing may not necessarily resonate with you because there's a pain point you're looking for. For instance, a 1,001 YouTube growth channels, but there's a reason why you gravitate to a few of them. Why? Maybe some of them, when they explain some really complicated concepts, it makes so much sense to you in seconds. While some complicated concepts or simple concepts, they make it just look like it's so difficult to understand. Like I said, every brand needs to have three stories: the origin story, the problem story, and the proof story. The origin story simply just talks about your why. Why do you do what you do? So if you say that you're a botanist, you're a biologist, you're a medical scientist on YouTube now, I'm just narrowing it down to YouTube. Why did you choose that path? Now, this is the story you're going to be telling. For instance, if you say, oh, I'm a weight loss coach. Yes, you're a weight loss coach. Why did you decide to be a weight loss coach? Most times, if you find out, I mean, using weight loss as an example, if you find most weight loss coaches, they either had personal problems with their own weight or they had loved ones that had issues losing weight. Check it out. If you doubt me, please feel free to tell me that I'm wrong. Most times people go into a certain niche apart from the obvious fact that there's money in it, which is why I said it is a very wrong move for you to move into a niche because someone else is doing it. For you to decide to open a channel or start your brand on that footnote, you're going to get it all wrong, because when the tough time comes, you will not be able to survive the turbulence that will come with it. Which is why whatever niche you are going into, whatever brand position you're trying to build, you must have an origin story. It is that why that keeps you going even when the clients have not started rolling in. It is that why that keeps you going even when you are yet to be monetized on YouTube. Because trust me, getting monetized on YouTube is not a one-day event. Although there are people that have been monetized in 2 months, in 5 months, but we still have a large variant of people that do not get monetized even in a year, sometimes years, and yet they have so many followers. So the question is, why does this happen? Because there are certain values, there are certain things the audience are looking for. If you are unable to speak to what the audience are looking for, then it's just going to be very difficult to attract the right kind of people to your page and your channel. And this basically speaks to value. So if you don't have a strong why and you're not yet monetized, then it's going to be a problem. However, we like to talk income a lot. When you're not monetized on YouTube, it doesn't mean you cannot monetize your channel. Yes, I said so. If you are not monetized on YouTube, it doesn't mean you cannot monetize your channel. Now, the question you ask me is, how is that possible? Simple. All you need to do is to sell digital products. Digital products can come in the form of ebooks. You can have ebooks. Now, there are different aspects to it. We have what we call the lead magnet. The lead magnet usually are free tools you give your target audience. That is the people that need services you have. So you give it to them free in exchange for their emails. Now, that email means that you are grooming a community outside YouTube. You cannot afford to put all your eggs in one basket only here, or else you will fall into trouble. So, anybody building a brand, please hear me, start creating digital products to start selling, which means that when you are speaking, when you are selling, when you're doing your videos, at the end of the videos, always have what we call a CTA, which is also known as a call to action. A strong call to action telling people that I have so and so services, this is what I can do. If you need this book that talks about this, send me an email. If you need to one-on-one coaching, that is how you can easily monetize your channel, even if you have not been monetized by YouTube. But that's not the focus of today's class. But basically, I just want you to know that every little step you take eventually leads you to the income stage. And the major thing that's making many creators not able to monetize themselves outside the YouTube circle is the fact that they don't have a brand story. What do I mean? Now, if I ask you, what is your brand color? Do you have any idea? Most people don't even know that as a personal brand, you should have a brand color. Yes. For instance, one of my brand colors is red. If you check most of my pictures, my videos, so many things about me, you probably will notice that I always wear red. Most times, it's always my red glasses or my banner. If you check this particular channel, the banner also has red on it. That is part of my brand. Now, there's a story behind that color because red represents something to me. So, this is also part of the origin story. Remember, I said it's in three parts. We have the origin story, we have the problem story, and we have the proof story. So, the origin story is every little part of you that has given you the why to position yourself doing what you are doing. So, which is why I always say, if you decide to position yourself to do what other people are doing because there's money, it's just like, for instance, now you're a medical doctor and you come on YouTube and somebody says, oh, they're making good money in African storytelling. And then you leave your trade that you're really, really good at and jump into African storytelling. What do you think will happen to you? You will struggle and you will not have a solid brand story. You will not have a solid why. Because if people ask you, why did you go into African storytelling? The answer you're going to say is, oh, there was money. They told me there's money in it, and that's why I'm there. It's the wrongest brand story you can ever have. There must be a reason, a strong pull as to why you are there. Now, going back to the color, the brand, when you're starting your origin story, and you need to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, what are my brand colors? You're allowed to have more than one, but a predominant one. You can have two or three brand colors. You can say, my brand color is red, white, and blue. And each of those colors need to have something it signifies or it means to you. For instance, my finance channel, the brand color of my finance channel is green. Most of my thumbnails, if you check it, it's always a woman dressed in green, the background green, white, and all that. The reason behind it is because for me, green represents prosperity. Green represents fruitfulness. That is one of the reasons why I picked green. And finance is money. And also, Nigerian currency, a good majority originally were first of all made in green, although along the years the colors started changing. And of course, the Nigerian flag is green and white. So that is the brand story of my finance channel. I don't know if it's making any sense to you. So ask yourself, what is your brand color? Your brand is who you are, what you stand for, and your values, and then how you also package yourself. Now, many people think that brand packaging is irrelevant. They think it's just for big companies like Coca-Cola, Nike, Apple, Samsung. No. In this digital age, your packaging, which is also known as your personal brand, is so important because whenever people come across you, you have only 30 seconds to a minute to make an impression. And there's no second chance, unfortunately. There's rarely ever second chances. Most times people don't notice this because there are billions of people that come across our pages. But the fact of the matter is that if your brand presence is not strong enough, people are going to walk by without remembering who you are. For instance, if people take a look at my page, the colors are so bright. The banner is so bright. I mean, you see red, you see me in the blonde hair. If you don't even remember anything else, the feel of the brand becomes unforgettable. And that's basically one of the things I teach people how to do to make your brand unforgettable, to ensure you have a core brand story, personal brand, and of course, for that brand to be profitable. Now, everybody on YouTube has a brand. Everybody, from the smallest creator, from the creator that is just a day old or 2 days old, to the creators that have been on YouTube for years. Everybody has a brand, whether you are conscious of it or not. However, which brand speaks more to people? Which brand is more recognizable to people? Which brand is unforgettable? Which brand sticks in the mind of people? And that is the reason why, if you don't remember anything else, you should have an origin story. Origin story is your why. Your origin story are your colors. Your origin story are your values. Your origin story are what you stand for and who you are meant to speak to. So from there, we move into what we call the problem story. Remember, I said there are three things you need to look out for: the origin story, the problem story, and the proof story. So we've spoken briefly about the origin story. The next question is, what is the problem story? Everybody is on social media with one problem or the other, including myself, whether you wish to accept it or not. Now, the question is asking yourself as a creator, the first thing you should ask is, what problem can I solve? What problem can I solve? Or better still, what problems can I solve? You should be able to list at least two problems you can solve. Now, if you some people are multi-talented, they can list 5 problems, 10 problems. I mean, not everyone is like that. But you should be able to at least solve 2 problems. Now, once you can identify the problems you can solve, the next thing is to create an avatar. An avatar is like, I'm trying to see how I can simplify it now. An avatar is like a simplified version of your target audience. Your target audience being the people you can solve their problems. So, for instance, let's use weight loss once again as an example. So, let's say I'm a weight loss coach, and okay, who are my target audience? And I say, oh, okay, my target audience are females in the professional industry who are having challenges losing weight. Now that is a problem story. So anybody in their right mind will ask me, why do you think that, why should it be only females? Now, you need to be wary of general niches. General niches have a way of not helping you to attract the right kind of people in relation to your story. I'll explain. So say if someone says, oh, I'm a weight loss coach, and I help people to lose weight. Oh, yes, help people to lose weight. What people exactly? So you cannot be a weight loss coach for men and a weight loss coach for women. I'll explain why. Because it's a wide variance. Because there are different category of women. You have the housewives, you have the professionals. Each of them will have different variables in terms of challenges. Then you have the men. You have, okay, house husbands, and then you have the professionals, and then you have the entrepreneurs. Each of them have their own separate sets of challenges. This is the reason why creating your niche as a brand is super, super important. I'll use a more relatable another example. For instance, let's say you are a YouTube growth coach. Now, there are different niches on YouTube. You can be a YouTube growth coach for those in folklore. You can be a YouTube growth coach for those in education. You can be a YouTube growth coach for creators who have been on YouTube less than 2 years. You can be a YouTube growth coach for creators who are having it difficult to get subscribers. You can be a YouTube growth coach for people who do not have, who are unable to monetize. So you can see that there are different niches even as a YouTube growth coach. So when you now find out yourself that, oh, I'm a YouTube growth coach for which category of people? And this is why saturated niches, so saturated, for instance, when you say YouTube growth coach, there are thousands and thousands of people who are in this niche. In fact, at a point, you don't even know who to watch. When you turn your channel, when you change, when you flip, you swipe, you see one person here, you swipe, you see another person here, and you're confused. Who am I even going to listen to? So the thing is that for anybody to stand out, you need to be able to identify exactly the people who are your target audience. So the truth here is, if you have a problem you can solve, you need to be able to communicate that problem to your audience. Trust me, you are not meant for everyone. It is better to have 20 solid views in your community who trust you, who believe you, and who will eventually buy you. Now, there's what they call the KLT factor in sales. It's called know, like, and trust. Before anybody buys anything from you, be it a product, be it a service, or even if it's to give you a job, they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. So why do you think that sometimes even channels on YouTube or even everywhere on social media, you find yourself endeared to some people more than some? Because when they speak like the way I'm speaking to you, you may feel drawn to them and feel, oh wow, she feels my pain, she understands what I'm talking about, or she knows what she's talking about. That may draw you to the person. And it could also be, oh, she's very beautiful, or oh, she's got good charisma, or oh, he's very handsome. Different reasons make people gravitate to different people. It could be the way you speak, it could be the way you present, the way you package yourself. So many reasons, but you cannot underrate the power of value. If you do not give value, after a while people will get bored and tired of whatever it is you are doing. And which is why, in creating a profitable personal brand, you should know what your origin story is, your why you're doing what you're doing, and then move on to the problem. So now this is something I've noticed a lot on YouTube. Many people are trying to solve many problems. So for instance, you could find some creators talking about YouTube growth today. Tomorrow they're talking about a day out in the market. Next tomorrow they're talking about their mother's birthday. Their channels are full of so many things causing confusion and chaos to their audience. So their audience come onto their channel and they're worried and they're like, I don't even know what he's talking about. What exactly is he? So this is the reason why YouTube has allowed you to have various channels. It allows you to have a channel that speaks to different aspects of you. This is a very sacrosanct rule in personal branding. When you are developing your brand, your niche must be specific and have a specific problem that it can solve. You cannot solve all the problems. Now I hear people say, oh, but I want to be in a niche where I need all these views. No, the focus is not the views, the focus is the impact. The focus should be the impact you give, even if it's to the two people that are watching you. The focus should be the level of value you give, even if it is just two people watching you. Not to have 500 views. And trust me, I am not saying 500 views is bad. I also want that. But the truth of the matter is that your brand has to speak to a problem. So if your brand doesn't speak to a problem, you're going to find yourself coming live and just saying balderdash. You're going to find yourself coming live and just shaking your booty or dancing or singing to satisfy the algorithm. You must understand that it's not the algorithm that will pay you, it is your audience that will pay you. Let me say that again. Understand that it is not the algorithm that will pay you, it is your audience that will pay you. And why? Because there's what they call SEO, search engine optimization. If your value is not aligned with the search engine optimization, the people that need you will not be able to find you. And that is why when you are positioning your brand, you must have key rich descriptions in your videos, you must have key rich descriptions for your hashtags and your tags. So these are the very, very important things you need to take note of as an author, creator, professional, whatever it is that they are doing. These are very, very important. Your origin story is very important. The problems that you can solve is very, very important. Creating a profitable brand is very important, because not everybody is going to be monetized on YouTube at the same time. But the focus is not only about YouTube, the focus is about being able to tell the right kind of stories that makes your clients to pay you. Now I've had a lot of creators and professionals come to me and say, I've been in this business for a long time. I'm not making any profit, I'm not making any money, I'm not making any sales, I'm having a lot of challenges. And then I find out when I do an audit of their channel or audit of their page that they're speaking to the wrong audience. For instance, let's say you started out your channel as a food blog. Without, it goes without saying that you're going to be attracting people that enjoy food, enjoy watching food videos, food vlogs, and all that. And halfway along the line, you switch to something else because you feel that the food vlog is not profitable. This is going to cause a major confusion for your audience. Now, I'm not telling you to not switch if you have to. But I'm saying that always have it at the back of your mind. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I switching? It also goes back to the origin story. Why am I in this? So let's use Oprah Winfrey, for example. What made Oprah Winfrey or even Steve Jobs? Because these are two of the role models I'm going to be doing my next set of videos on. I'm going to be doing a video on Oprah Winfrey. I'm going to be doing a video on Steve Jobs. And I'm going to be doing on Beyonce. I can't remember who the other people are. But reason why I'm going to do videos on them is because it is easy for people to relate to their stories. Now, why do people like Oprah Winfrey? Because you can't say because she's popular. No, there are other factors to the reason why she's able to pull a crowd. Because when she stands on stage and speaks, people listen. Why do people listen? Because she has built a powerful brand for herself. She's not the only one that was into newscasting at a time. She's not the only celebrity that has been an actress at a time. She's not the only celebrity that has been a producer or movie director. However, she's been able to speak to her brand and build a profitable brand and respectable brand over time. How did she make this happen? Very simple. She tapped into her origin story. The reason why she started what she did. She has a foundation now that takes care of girls, orphan girls, and all that, underprivileged orphan girls, because she had a very sad childhood. Now, this childhood was a childhood of pain, a childhood of sorrow, but yes, she went through a long period of pain and sorrow and all that and loss and grief, but she dug into the power of that pain and created something out of it, which is the brand she has now. So when you think women empowerment, you probably would think of Oprah. When you think of independence, strength, eloquence, being able to present, you'd probably think of Oprah. I'm just using her as an example. There are so many other prominent people. We have people like Nelson Mandela. He himself also has a very wonderful brand. May his soul rest in peace. And one of the things he's recognized for is because he was a freedom fighter for South Africa. Now, that's the power of a powerful brand. Even many years after he's gone, his brand still speaks for him. How about people like Michael Jackson, legend of all time? His brand is so powerful because Okay, let's use for example. Let me use Michael Jackson for example. He has a particular style of jacket he always wears. He's got the red one, he's got the black one, he's got the white one. If you see anybody walking down on your street wearing that jacket, what comes to your mind? Wow, this jacket looks like what Michael Jackson used to wear. Exactly. Because he has built a powerful brand for himself by attributing some level of uniqueness to himself. Was he the best dancer in the world? Well, some people will say it's arguable, but I think he was the best dancer in the world because he created many dance moves. Was he the best singer in the world? Well, some people will say it's arguable, but I think he's also one of the best singers in the world. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that you have to be able to build a brand that speaks for you even when you are not there, that helps people to remember who you are and what you stand for. And what is that? So if you're saying, we spoke about Oprah Winfrey, what problem was she solving? Humanity, the problem of humanity, the problem of slavery, the problem of wrong things being done against female children. That's one of the causes she's very popular for. She speaks loudly about that. So that is part of what her brand speaks for in the humanitarian aspect. In terms of people like Michael Jackson, what was his brand about? Music, right? He was using his music as a tool to entertain, and not just entertain, also heal other people. And if you check Google, if you check the storyline, he also had a pretty sad childhood. Now, I'm not telling you, I'm not trying to say that people with sad childhoods eventually become great or they're the ones that have the best brands. No, I'm just trying to tell you that you can draw strength from whatever drives you to position yourself for your brand. Whatever story, backstory you have, you can actually draw on it to use it to position your brand. Let's say you grew up, okay, let me use Akon too, for instance. Okay, the gist is that he was once, maybe he has been to prison or something like that. So the question is, did he allow it to let him weigh him down? No. He used it as a driving force, as a leverage to build a brand. So he now created his own music called what? Convict music. Makes sense, right? So anybody listening to it would be like, why would he call his record label Convict Music? But that's the story behind it. There's a story behind it. So as a creator, you need to ask yourself, go back to the drawing board. What is your origin story? Pencil it down, table it down. Why do you do what you do? What are those things that drive your passion? What is your why? If you don't have a why, you're not going to survive this. It means that within 3 6 months you're going to water out, because every creator, coach, professional will face challenges trying to create their brand. But there just has to be one or two things that stick out for you, that keep you going to make sure that your brand remains vibrant. What are your brand colors? If you don't have brand colors, please go back to your drawing board and get to ask yourself, what are your brand colors? Is it blue? Is it white? Is it yellow? Is it pink? Is it red like me? Then you need to have brand colors. Then ask yourself, how do you want to present yourself in public? Do you want to present yourself as a professional? Do you want to present yourself as playful? Do you want to present yourself as studious, academic? You need to decide and you write that down somewhere. Then, what are your values? What does your brand represent? Does it represent equality for all women? Does it represent equality for all men? That is what your brand is to speak. And the reason why I'm reiterating on all this is because these are the fundamentals you need to be able to answer before you position yourself on social media. Now, I'm not saying that you should wait to be perfect before you position yourself. If you wait for perfection, you probably will never get anything done. So if you're already on YouTube as a creator, or if you're already on LinkedIn as a creator, or if you're already on Instagram or TikTok as a creator, and somehow, hi DJ, good to see you. We just met yesterday. Hi, good to see you. Thank you for joining my live. So if you find yourself on YouTube as a creator, like my friend DJ, who's a disco jockey, I think he's into music and all that. I can't possibly say I want to go into his niche because I feel I like music. Am I good in singing? Probably. But can I do what he's doing? No. So you need to understand your origin story. Why are you in that niche? What kind of brand are you building for yourself? What is your origin story and what problem can you solve? As a musician, you saying that you are positioned as a musician on YouTube because you feel that your music can drive into the soul of people, heal people's soul, inspire people, keep them happy, give them happy vibes. What exactly is the reason why? If you have a movie channel, why did you create a movie channel? What problem can your movie channel solve? These are the questions you need to ask. What are your brand colors? What influences you? Who are your mentors? Who are your role models? Who are the people that are in the same industry with you that impact on you? And then who are the kind of people you want to impact on? These are the stories you need to have in order. So, say for instance, you are asked a question like, so, what transformation have you experienced? For instance, I remember when I was pretty young, I learned how to play instruments. I learned how to play the keyboard. I started learning how to play drums. I mean, quite a number of things, and along the line, I thought I'd end up as a musician, but somehow, it didn't pan out that way. But anyway, I mean, that's just a backstory. But I'll tell you one thing. If I'm going to tell you about the origin story as to how I became a storyteller, it started in a very, very peculiar way. I remember when I positioned on LinkedIn a little over a year ago, and I happen to be an influencer on LinkedIn. So when I positioned on LinkedIn over a year ago, I positioned as a business and sales strategist. And a few months down the line, I think 2 months, I found out that there were so many. Thank you. Thank you, DJ. So a few months down the line, I found out that there were many other business and sales strategists positioned on LinkedIn. However, what was different about me? I was basically just the same as every other person. So I had to ask myself and go back to the drawing board. What kind of brand am I going to build? What kind of stories do I want to create for myself? And then I remembered that when I was 8 years old, my grandfather came back from the UK then. May he so rest in peace. I was expecting gifts. I always tell these stories to many of my friends, coaches, fellow coaches, and creators. And I was expecting gifts from him. I thought he was going to buy me a baby doll. You know those beautiful baby dolls that have long hair that you comb, all those Barbie baby dolls. So that was what I was expecting. Sadly, he came back with a dictionary. If you know, if you haven't seen a long man dictionary before, it's big, this big. He brought me a long man dictionary and a notebook with a biro and said, "This is your gift." And I was like, "What? You mean you flew down to the UK? You came back from the UK. You didn't bring me chocolates. You didn't bring me baby doll. Didn't bring me a teddy bear. You brought me a dictionary with a notebook. Like who does that to an 8-year-old child? Who?" And I was so angry with him for years. I was like, "What am I gonna do? What I mean, how do I tell my friends that my grandfather came back from out of the country and he didn't buy me a very nice gift?" Anyway, long story short, he bought me books and said, "Give me um 50 words from every chapter, the meaning of those words." And that was how my journey started. And when I started doing that, my vocabulary started increasing, my vocabulary started expanding, and then I would say that the spirit of words came on me. Well, permit me to use that. The spirit of words came on me, and I started writing because my head was like a dictionary, too full of so many words. I started writing, so I started creating stories. I mean, as young as 8 years old, I mean, the stories may have been senseless at that time, but I started creating stories. I started writing stories. I started writing stories, and then I was getting older, 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14, and then I stopped writing stories. Now, fast forward to almost 2 years ago now. I found myself on LinkedIn, business strategist, so many other business strategies. And I asked myself, what is that differentiating factor for my brand? What story can I tell that will make me sound different? Now, guess what? Do you know that identical twins will always have something that is different about them? Do you know that? Twins, identical. Two girls, two boys, no matter how much they look alike, there must be something that's different in them, right? I'm getting somewhere. Now, When I now decided to position myself, I said, okay, you know what? I'm good at telling stories. I'm going to start applying what they call the business of storytelling to my own brand. Now, please, if you don't understand what business of storytelling is, Google it. I would like to take it on another class. I'll take it some other time, but I'm just explaining to you what they call the business of storytelling. Now, trust me, even if you're in AI, even if you're in technology, even if you're in sciences, medical doctor, okay, I'll use an example. There's this Nigerian doctor. His name is Apropos Doctor. I don't know if you know him, but he's very, very popular. Do you know that he's a storyteller? That is the reason why he stands out from other people. He created fictitious characters called what? Nkechi, Ngozi, and Emeka. Every time he's talking about cancer, ovarian cysts, kidney problems, whatever it is, he builds everything he's talking about on stories. He builds fictitious characters and uses it because why stories are relatable. It is easier for people to listen to stories. It's easier for people to connect emotionally to stories and understand exactly what it is you're trying to explain. So if you come all out with your brand story with facts, figures, people are going to get bored, people are going to get tired. So I'm encouraging you today as a YouTuber, whatever niche you're into, start applying the principles of storytelling. Learn how to start telling stories. Even if you're in AI, even if you're a medical doctor, even if you are in whatever niche it is you're in, news, whatever. Why do you think that the news channels always blow? Why do you think that the news channels always have thousands and thousands of views? It is because they tell stories. Okay? So, what am I talking about? Origin story, problem story, and the proof story. Now, finally, we've spoken about the origin story, we've spoken about the problem story. We are moving to the proof story. And what is the proof story? The proof story is just simple, it speaks to only transformation. Yes, transformation. Remember, the origin story is your why, it is your purpose, it is why you are in the niche you are in, it is why you are doing what you do. Why are you a boxer? There must be a reason. Why are you a medical scientist? There must be a reason. So these are the backgrounds of what people use in building their channels. Trust me, any creator you see, Alex Holmesy, his wife, I mean, I'm trying to remember the big YouTubers here. Some of them, their names are escaping me. Even the big artists, everybody has a story and they keep talking about their story. It is the stories they leverage on because two people can't have the same story. I use this example, this analogy. So in Nigeria, we have what we call jollof rice, right? I'm sure you've heard of that before. And if you're in Nigeria, you get what I mean. There are different ways to cook jollof rice to be delicious, or different ways to cook a pot of stew. But do you know that if you give 5 people the same ingredients, the same pepper, the same oil, the same Maggi, the same chicken, all the ingredients, the 5 of them are going to cook these um, meals in 5 different ways with the same ingredients. Why? Because each person individuality is peculiar to the next person. You can never see 2 people with the same fingerprint. And please, if you have, then you can correct me, right? This is the reason why your brand story is what helps you stand out. How, if for instance, I am an executive coach, that's one of the things I position myself as. But I'm not the only executive coach in the world. But why is it that some people gravitate more to me than others? It will be because of my brand story, how they perceive me. Your brand is how people perceive you. If people perceive you as a talkative, then that is your brand. If people perceive you as crafty or nasty or rude, then that is your brand. If people perceive you as a thief, that is your brand. If people perceive you as dull or dry, that is your brand. So your brand is what people perceive, is not exactly what you think or what you feel. Yes, you may think that your brand is in a certain way, but the way people perceive you is actually what your brand is. I'm open to questions. Please don't forget to drop comments. I just love talking and speaking about storytelling. So please just drop comments for me, and don't forget to subscribe and hit me whatever aspect or whatever topic you want me to talk about next. Yes, so moving on. Now we're talking about the transformation story. Remember, I said the three important stories you need to tell. The origin story is what you use in connecting with your audience, and then the problem story is the pain points that you can solve. Now, you cannot solve everybody's pain points. There's some pain points that if you speak to it, you're not going to, I'm trying to look for a way to simplify. So if you have a pain point that you can solve, you may want to have to go viral. You may want so many people to gravitate to you, but it is only those that are experiencing that same thing that will be drawn to you. You are not positioned for everyone, or else, excuse me, or else you will lose focus. I'll explain. So, say for instance, you're into skincare. You're into skincare, and your niche is skincare for people that have acne, or skincare for people that have discoloration in their face or their body. These are two separate niches. Acne is different from facial discoloration. You can decide to merge the two, but you have to be a master in one, because that's the best way to build your brand. Become a master in one, leverage on that before you spill into something else. All right. So, one of the easiest ways to be able to develop your brand is to know how to tell your brand story. If you don't understand what telling your brand story is, you can Google it, and feel free to ask me a question in the comment section, or tell me what other topic you want me to, build on. A brand story basically is you being able to speak to what your brand is all about, your values, your origin, and the pain point. If you cannot categorically, as a creator or a coach or a professional, say, this is the problem I can solve for my audience on YouTube, then you're in trouble. Take it from me. If you cannot speak to an exact problem you can solve on YouTube, then you're in trouble. Whatever social media platform, if it's TikTok, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Instagram, you need to have a particular pain point that you can solve. This is what storytelling is all about. Storytelling can be used in different niches. I hear people say, "Oh, Dr. H, I'm not a storyteller. I don't know how to tell stories. I was not born to tell stories. Hey, I don't know how to tell stories." No, nobody is born a storyteller. People learn how to tell stories. Nobody was born with the skill to know how to tell a story. And when I'm talking about telling a story, please don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about Tales by Moonlight. I'm not talking about she said this, she said that, he did this. No. I'm talking about brand stories. Stories for your brand, stories for your business, stories for your products. Now, let me share a tip with you. If you're trying to sell anything to anyone, let's say a product, for instance, let's say you want to sell, hold on. So let's say I want to sell you, this is my crux. So let's say I want to sell you this pair of shoes. If I want to sell you this pair of shoes, it goes without saying, there's what they call the features and the story. The features of this shoe is that it's covered. So obviously, anybody buying this kind of shoe knows that their feet will be protected, right? So that is obvious, and it really doesn't need too much of explanation to whoever wants to buy this from me. Now, another very obvious feature is that the sole is comfortable. So anybody who buys this kind of shoe knows that they're going to be walking in comfort. And they also know that their feet or their foot will be covered. So these are obvious features of a product. So when you're telling a brand story, when you're telling a story in relation to your product or relation to your service, you do not rely on only the obvious features. This is obvious. And when you speak to only the obvious features, it's the same thing every other person are doing. What you do to get income or sales from your client is to connect to the emotional part of the client. The emotional part of the client could be the color of this, it could be the brand, or the brand in terms of status. Now, if you're able to size your clients up and know whether they're high network clients or, okay, I don't want to say low network clients, but high network clients or clients that don't want to spend too much money, If you see that the person is somebody that likes premium services or premium goods, you are going to sell the problem this can solve in terms of class. Like, for instance, Michael Jackson wears this kind of slippers. Go figure. All right. Automatically, when the person hears something like that, they want to also move on that level, on that pedestal with a celebrity. If you can name two or three celebrities that wear stuffs like this, it's easier to sell the product to them, it's easier to convince them to buy from you, right? See, I'm already teaching you sales along with this, but I'm just trying to explain so that you have an idea what I'm talking about. So you're looking more at origin and the problem it can solve, and transformation. So what kind of transformation are we looking at here? So if you say, I had a problem, I'm a weight loss coach, I'm trying to I'm going to help you to lose 20 kg. So the first question anybody's going to ask you is, have you successfully been able to lose 20 kg for yourself? Right? Or if you say you're a sales coach and you're teaching people how to make sales, have you been able to transform yourself from someone who doesn't sell anything, a dime, to somebody who's closing sales? So when you are creating your personal brand for your business or for whatever purpose, remember that it's the origin story, which is your why, your purpose, and you're moving into the problem that you can solve, which is the pain point, and then finally the transformation that you're promising them to deliver. If there is no transformation, then your story is incomplete. So there has to be an origin, why, and there has to be a problem. The origin is the purpose, the problem is the pain, and then the proof is the promise. Problem, pain, and promise. Those are the three stories you need to rely on. Absolutely. Yes. Those are the things you need to rely on when you are positioning your brand also as a storyteller. Remember, I said professional stories, relevant stories, and not personal stories. Personal stories don't sell you, they only expose you. You do not need personal stories. The stories have to be relevant to the pain points you're trying to solve for your clients. Please feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask questions so that I can respond to your questions. And if there's any topic you want me to also speak about in the next class, please drop it in the comment section so that I can prepare for it and address your concerns. So, rounding up, yes, so those three aspects are very important. You need to take note of as a storyteller. And like I said, storytelling is not for any particular niche. It works for education, it works for science, it works for actors, I mean, obviously, actresses. Every niche storytelling can be applied, and there's nothing like anybody is born a storyteller. No one is born a storyteller. People learn how to tell stories, but it must be relevant stories to the pain points. If the stories are not connected to the pain points, then whatever you're saying will never convert. Remember, the main focus is making or building a profitable brand. So everybody has a brand, from the small YouTubers to the big YouTubers. However, not everybody's brand is profitable. So the focus here is to build a profitable brand, a brand that when people see you, they will easily buy. Remember the KLT factor. Before anybody buys anything from you, they must know you, they must like you, and they must trust you. If they don't know you, they cannot trust you. If they don't like you, they cannot trust you. So they must go through that process. They must know you first, then move into liking you and trusting you. Nobody's going to trust who they don't know. So when you are presenting yourself, you're packaging your brand, what can your clients say about you? What can your audience say about you? When they see you speak and they see you present, what can they categorically say you represent? What are your values? What are your ideals? So these are the very critical questions you need to ask yourself. And to wrap it up again, last is, what are the things that identify your brand? What are your brand colors? Do you have a brand color? Some people think it's not relevant to have a brand color. Yes, as a personal brand strategist, I'm recommending that you have a brand color. So go to the drawing board and decide, do I want black to be my brand color? Do I want red to be my brand color? What's your dressing? For instance, look at um Apple now. You see, or Mark Zuckerberg, you see that most times when you see them in public, they're always wearing t-shirts and all that. So their brands are pretty casual, not too professional. Yes, they're billionaires. I mean, that goes without saying. But they have the way they represented their brand. And of course, when you see people like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jackson, how do they look when you see them? You remember Michael Jackson has a white glove he always wears and this black pair of shoes he always wears. That is his brand persona. So if you see anybody now putting on white gloves and wearing black shoes, what comes to your mind? The first thing that comes to your mind is, wow, this person is trying to be like Michael Jackson, right? So that's also another aspect of creating a brand. So you need to be able to figure out what are the things you want people to see anywhere and remember you. Your brand has to be unforgettable, memorable, a brand that people will come across and remember. And all this is rooted in your storytelling techniques, the storytelling skills that you have. But to make it easy for you, first of all, go and learn and write down what your origin story is. And then from there, move on to the problems that your brand can solve. So if you're positioned on YouTube as a creator, what problem are you solving? Yes, I tell African stories. What kind of stories? What kind of people? Are your African stories for children between the age of 2 to 10? Or they're for professionals, or they're for creators? You know, there must be a defined niche and structure so that your stories will always be relevant, or else you'll be attracting the wrong kind of target audience who eventually will never buy from you. And all you get at the end of the day is just dopamine. You just get people liking, complimenting, encouraging you, but they will never buy into your services and your products. And that is what you want to avoid. Remember, our focus is what? Income and a profitable brand. All right. So if there are any questions, please let me know in the comment section so that we can call it a day. And definitely, if we are meeting up tomorrow evening, I'll definitely send out a prompt. And if not, the next class will be on Friday. However, if there's no other question, then we'll probably have to call this a day. Remember what I said: origin story, problem story, and what? Proof story. Your purpose, the pain, and what? The promise. All these lead eventually to building a solid, unforgettable, and profitable brand. Until we meet again, my name is Dr. Ish, and I'll see you in the next live class. Ciao.